Hey friends, Miranda Vivanco here, and in today's episode on cooking with essential oils, we're going to make old-fashioned gingerbread featuring doTERRA clove, ginger, and cinnamon bark oils. And if you want to support my channel, subscribe and click the bell notification so you never miss my weekly episodes, where I show you how to use essential oils in your favorite recipes. So let's get started with the old-fashioned gingerbread. This is one of my favorite recipes of all time, and I love using the doTERRA oils in them because it actually helps the flavor complex and the flavor profile of this recipe, and it makes it so much better. So let's get started with what we're gonna do first. First, we're gonna put a half a cup of butter in the mixer with a half a cup of sugar, and that's gonna mix until it's light and fluffy. Once that's done, I'm gonna turn down the mixer a little bit, and we're gonna add the egg. And when I do that, I'm just gonna add it, just gonna mix it just well enough to incorporate it into the mixture that's already in there. And then we're gonna just add in the other ingredients as well as the oils that we want to put in here and make it taste really, really good. So let me do that. It's a half a cup of butter. And a half a cup of sugar. And then I'll get that rolling. Once I do that, we will put the egg in. Okay, so now that my egg is incorporated into the mixture, I'm gonna start adding in my other ingredients. So we have So we have a cup of molasses in here, and now we're going to also add in our oils. I'm just gonna add it into the molasses so that it mixes and incorporates with everything as it goes. It just makes it more evenly distributed. So I'm gonna do 1 drop of clove. Clove is super concentrated, so you don't need a whole lot of the clove bud oil. Ginger oil, gingerbread, we want to make sure we have a really complex ginger flavor, so we put in 3 drops of ginger. And then I will put in 4 drops of cinnamon because I like cinnamon a lot. Oops, that was 5. It's fine. It'll taste wonderful. So I'm going to add that into the sugar mixture now. And once I do that, then we will come back and start putting in our dry ingredients before we put it in the pan and into the oven. Yeah, just scrape down the sides of the bowl a little bit. Some of the molasses tends to go all the way to the top when you spread it in there. When the mixer is going, as you know, it spins everything around, and so the molasses kind of goes to the top. So I want to make sure that all the molasses is incorporated. So next we're going to add in our flour. So I have 2½ cups of flour here. I'm putting in a ½ a teaspoon of salt, and then 1½ teaspoons of baking soda. Not baking powder, baking soda. There is a difference in that. Not sure what it does, but I think the baking soda makes it fluffier faster. Incorporates it. And now I'm going to incorporate that into the wet mixture, and then it'll be ready to go into the pan and into the oven. So put this lid back on. Make sure that all the molasses and the flour and everything gets incorporated. This is like one of my favorite treats during the holidays, gingerbread. Whenever we travel, I always find gingerbread at the local market and buy it and eat it for breakfast. Now the last thing we're gonna do is add a cup of hot water. Now, when you're adding it to your mixture, you wanna make sure it's on the lowest speed possible because you don't want that hot water to get splashed up on you. So just make sure that you add it very carefully and on a really low speed. Okay, what you'll notice is that your mixture is really thick, and when you added the water, it thinned it out into a nicer, easier batter that can be spreadable. So once that's done and it's in a nice smooth batter, you're gonna let it sit for a second, and you're gonna be greasing a 9x9 pan. I'm not going to be using a 9x9 pan today, but this is what you'll be using, and then make sure that you have it all buttered, and that will help you. So alternatively, you could use any other pan that might hold a bread. So a bread loaf pan. I'm going to be using this pan. It's a 6x9. I wanted my gingerbread to be a little bit thicker today, so that's why I'm using a smaller pan than I normally would. But you can use any. You can use also like a pie pan if you want. If you want like a thinner piece of gingerbread, just depends on your preferences. So the pan I'm using today is a stone pan, and I like stone pans because it gives a really nice crust to recipes, and I really like the way it brings out the gingerbread and makes other breads. I buttered it really well today, a little bit more than usual because it's a newer stone piece for me, and I want to make sure that it's well seasoned. So I'm stirring this around a little bit because I noticed that the bottom wasn't exactly mixed as well as I wanted it to be. I wanted to make sure that the hot water is throughout the entire recipe. So I'm mixing it just a little bit more to make that happen, and then I'm going to pour it into my pan. Pouring it into my pan. It's fantastic, and it's going to be a very thick loaf in this pan, but I like it. Can't wait to try it. And with all the doTERRA oils, I can smell all of them. You should smell my house right now. Just by mixing them in this recipe, my house smells divine with all of the winter spices that we so love during this time of year. So I've preheated my oven to 350, and I'm going to put this beautiful gingerbread into the oven, and it's gonna bake for an hour. So it takes a long time to bake, but it's a beautiful thing when it's done. Okay, our gingerbread is out of the oven. I let it cool for about an hour. It's still a little warm on the side, but I really want to try it. Remember, we used clove, ginger, and cinnamon bark in this recipe. It's gonna make the flavors just shine. So let's cut into it and try it. I like to have just a little bit of whipping cream on mine. Some people prefer Cool Whip. Some people don't want anything. If I'm eating it in the morning, I don't put whipped cream on it, but I like it when I do as a dessert or a snack later in the day. This one came out super thick, as you can tell. In a 9x9 pan, ooh, it's still a little steamy. In a 9x9 pan, it actually is gonna be a little bit thinner, but this one came out really thick, so you can do thinner pieces. And then just put a little bit of whipping cream on top. Off to the side. And then we get to try it. Bon appetit. Oh, that's good. That was fantastic. Probably the best gingerbread I've made so far. Well, that's a wrap. Another Cooking with Essential Oils episode. Remember, if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe and click the bell notification so you never miss my weekly episodes when I show you how to use essential oils in your favorite recipes. Also, follow me on Facebook, and if you want this recipe or others like it, I'll leave the link in the description, or you can always go to www.cookwithoils.com and download your own Cooking with Essential Oils recipe book. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments and I'll answer all of them. And the best way to support my channel is to share it with a friend. Thanks again for watching. Long live essential oils.